What we're going to be talking about a little bit today is one of my personal favorite topics in the retirement plan industry. If you attended RPAG's national conference last year here in Southern California in September, you probably saw me do a main stage presentation on this particular topic and why I believe it's so important. We're going to be talking a little bit about fee benchmarking today. Not only covering the resources that RPAG has to offer to advisors and when to deploy those different resources, but we also want to take a look at different things about fee benchmarking, whether it's when should I be deploying it? How do I deploy it? What do I use in specific circumstances? I wanted to kind of take a deep dive into fee benchmarking in general. So the way I want to structure today's session is in kind of a who, what, when, and how structure. So I'll start off with a real quick introduction on who we are at RPAG. I know there are some folks here in attendance who maybe aren't as familiar with us as some of our longtime members are. So I want to give a quick introduction on who we are, talk about when is benchmarking important and what we're seeing today in the retirement plan landscape, what you should be looking at when you're benchmarking plans, and then lastly, how do you actually benchmark those different facets of a retirement plan that we're looking at. So again, as Ashley mentioned, as I'm going through here, feel free to enter any questions into the chat feature. I'll address any questions at the end and hopefully cover everything that we're looking at. I'm also happy to send this PowerPoint presentation along to anyone who's on the call today, as well as pass along any sample presentations or reports that I reference as well. So just feel free. My contact information will be at the end of today's slideshow. So happy to pass that along as well. So again, just to kind of kick off things here is who is RPAG? Again, I know a lot of the folks on the call are familiar with us. RPAG, Retirement Plan Advisory Group. We are a practice management platform based out of Southern California that is solely dedicated to helping retirement plan advisors efficiently run and grow their retirement book of business. You might have come across us either under the RPAG brand name or under one of the other brand names that you see down below there, whether it's FlexPath, PlanFees, which is the name of our fee benchmarking platform, or WellSense, which is our financial wellness platform. You might have come across us in one of those circumstances. Again, what we really aim to do is give retirement plan advisors all of the tools and technology that are necessary to succeed in this landscape. So obviously, we want to help make sure that in servicing your current book of clients, that your life is as easy as possible. So the way I always put it is making it so that you have to click the least amount of buttons to put together a report that your client's going to like and that you're going to feel comfortable presenting, as well as giving you all the necessary arrows in your quiver to go out and win new plan business consistently. As we've seen in the retirement plan industry nationwide, there is more and more legislation coming out on a state-by-state basis that is mandating that employers offer some sort of employer-sponsored retirement plan, which is ripe with opportunity for us as retirement plan professionals to go out there, build new relationships, and win new business. And we want to partner with you here at RPAG to help you do that. In terms of a little bit about the size and scale of RPAG, it's kind of how we operate here. We are a nationwide organization that works with advisors in all 50 states. We have over 120,000 retirement plans currently feeding into RPAG's platform. We have 50 plus dedicated team members to help our advisors succeed, whether that's folks on the RFP side, investment side, ERISA specialists. We have someone here in-house at RPAG that can answer pretty much any question that you have related to retirement plans. And like I mentioned a little bit on the previous screen, we don't just do one facet of retirement plans. We don't just provide investment reporting. We do provide that, but we also provide a robust fee benchmarking suite, as we'll cover today, custom solutions on the investment side, financial wellness platforms, even marketing support. Again, we are here to help you as retirement plan advisors and make sure that your business is running smoothly. So again, we have a lot of different team members here that specialize in retirement plans. So whether you have a question about ERISA compliance or want to talk to someone about putting together a target date fund analysis, we have someone that is more than happy to hop on the phone with you and discuss that. From a technology perspective, we have the most robust technology platform in the retirement plan industry. And what that looks like for financial advisors is all of the different things that you're looking at on the screen here. So whether it's, like I mentioned earlier, putting together a target date fund comparison, we have a fit analysis and custom target date comparison tool built right into the same platform that you can benchmark the record keeping fee for your retirement plan clients or prospect for new plans or pull up a pre-made presentation on Secure Act 2.0. Everything is put together in one integrated platform so that instead of jumping from website to website, I mean, I know we all working in this industry have gone through the headache of going to different record keeper websites to look up different plan information and logging in here and then logging in there. The idea behind our platform is it's one login, one integrated platform to do everything from look up plan information to running a report that you will then deliver to clients. So that's a little bit about us here at RPAG. And again, if you have any questions over things that I don't cover during today's call, I'm happy to have a one-on-one call with anyone on the session today to discuss anything that we do here at RPAG. But getting into kind of the topic of the day, let's talk a little bit about fee benchmarking and when is fee benchmarking important. So if you talk to RPAG's ERISA team, which I get the fortune of doing pretty frequently, um, you know, one of the questions that gets asked a lot of them is, when should I be benchmarking fees? How often should I be benchmarking the fees of a plan? Do I need every year to go out and get 10 different proposals from 10 different record keepers on every single one of my plans? It's a fair question to ask because being a fiduciary on a retirement plan, very serious business. But in terms of the guidance that our ERISA team has provided is somewhat twofold. If you're an advisor on a retirement plan, you should be doing an annual fee benchmarking exercise, somewhat of like a annual checkup. You should be going to the doctor's office once a year to get your blood pressure tested and your height and weight checked and all of those things, just to make sure everything is running smoothly. Retirement plan benchmarking is very similar. So later in today's presentation, I'm going to talk about one of the resources that we have that you can use to really quickly and efficiently benchmark a plan's fees on an annual basis in under 2 minutes. So on, again, annual basis, you should be checking in on not only the total cost of a retirement plan, but also the different fee components that we'll be talking about later. Investment fees, administration fees, advisory fees as well. You should be making sure that your fee as an advisor is in line with what the industry is currently mandating for a plan of that size. And then from a live bid perspective, right? The more comprehensive act of going to a record keeper and requesting a customized quote from them based on real plan parameters. Depending on plan size, our ERISA team suggests that you should be doing that every 3 to 5 years for each of your plans. 3 years for much larger plans, 5 years for maybe a smaller plan. Now, even though that does sound somewhat cumbersome, we're lucky to live in a digital age where technology can make that process much, much easier. So later in today's presentation, I'm actually going to touch on two different reports that can help you with that live bid proposal process. One report is called the Provider Analysis, formerly known as the B3, for those of you who have been with us for a long time. And the other report is our latest and greatest called RFP Express, which is the industry's most efficient live bid analysis tool. And then lastly here, I wanted to bring up these statistics, I actually ran these last year when I was getting ready for our national conference because, we see a lot of statistics out there in terms of benchmarking the fees of plans, whether it's, in the 401k book of averages or even through 5,500 websites, you get a lot of data on actual fee information. That's a plenty out there. But one of the things I wanted to look at, and I was lucky enough to have access to as a member here at RPAG, is how frequently are advisors benchmarking reports? How many proposals are coming through our system? And the numbers I received are pretty staggering. So over the past few years, we've had over 70,000 plans benchmarked through RPAG. So that's just about every single plan in our database has been benchmarked at least once over the last few years. And over 67,000 proposals have been received through our platform. So uh, you can bet that if you're not benchmarking a plan, if you're not taking a plan out to bid, another advisor is taking your plan out to bid or benchmarking it. I can't tell you how many times we get calls here at RPAG where an advisor will say, "Hey, I was approached by a business owner client that I know, and they would like me to take a look at their retirement plan because their current advisor has not. And so, please walk me through how I can do that through RPAG." It happens almost on a weekly basis here. So if you're not currently incorporating any sort of fee benchmarking into your retirement plan practice, or maybe you're just benchmarking a plan every couple of years, uh, sit back and think about that a little bit and think about how you can play defense. And in the same token, how you can play offense for prospects, because there is no more powerful resource for you in terms of prospecting for new business than highlighting where a plan can save money. The feedback that I get from advisors on a very constant basis is that when they are presenting to prospects, the most common thing that catches a prospect's ear is where when an advisor can, in succinct and straightforward terms, highlight how a plan can save money, whether that be on their record keeping cost, whether that be on their advisory fee, whether that be in their investment lineup cost. That is what continuously grabs plan sponsors. And with things like 5,500 search engines like Larkspur or others out there, even the DOL site, fee information has never been easier to get on prospects. So even if they're not your current plan, you can still go out and get some information, at least to bend their ear a little bit and potentially win some new business. And then the last piece of information I want to touch on here before we move on here is every year, Fidelity does a great survey of plan sponsors across the nation, and these are plan sponsors that are decision makers on their plans, that are plan administrators, etc. And last year, when I was reading their 2023 version of their plan sponsor survey, the one thing that jumped out to me very, very clearly was that of the of the plan sponsors that were surveyed by Fidelity, 51% said that they were actively looking to change record keepers. Not that they were, just, here and there getting a solicitation or some sort of, email blast, that they were actively looking. That's over half, right? So plan sponsors are constantly evaluating where they can save their plan money, where they can improve their plan. And a lot of times they are looking to do that either by changing advisor or change record keeper. So if you're not helping your plan sponsor evaluate the record keeper, they might be evaluating changing their advisor. And so one of my goals today is to help you all understand all of the resources that you have at your fingertips through RPAG to help make sure that you are guiding your plan sponsor clients in the best way possible. So with the table being set there a little bit, let's talk about, what should be benchmarked, right, through these exercises. As we know, retirement plans are incredibly complex. You can look at, plan design and even how fees are structured. Does this plan use a per participant cost? Are these fees based out of revenue sharing, et cetera, et cetera? And so what we've come up here with at RPAG is a pretty straightforward process that you can boil down your benchmarking exercises into to inform your clients on how much they're paying on an annual basis, as well as where is that money going. So I think one of the first things that comes up, especially when our clients are thinking about fees with their retirement plan, is their investment fees. Um, if you listen to anyone in our industry or you look at any of the fantastic news sources that are out there in our industry, one of the most common news headlines you'll see are about fee litigation. And most commonly, that fee litigation is wrapped up in investments. Okay, these investments were low performing and high cost. And so this is typically where your client's mind goes first in terms of investment fees. So obviously, through RPAG, you're able to take a look at a fund lineup and say, okay, here's how much your investment lineup currently costs. Here's where that money is generated. Here's where that money is going. Because revenue sharing and 12B1 and sub TA fees can get incredibly convoluted. That's why here at RPAG, we have a very, very advanced fee calculator where you can make sure that you are accurately representing the fees of a retirement plan, whether they're investments, advisory fees, or even admin fees as well. Speaking of admin fees, that's kind of the next piece here that we want to look at. So admin fees can encompass a lot of different things. When we talk about admin fees here at RPAG, we're usually referencing either the record keeping fee or the TPA fee. Now, there's other fees underneath that are very important to document and take note of. But in terms of the benchmarking exercises that you're doing for your clients, it's most important to understand what is the record keeper or TPA charging on an annual basis. Another term you're probably used to hearing in the industry is what is the required revenue for a plan? And also, where is that money coming from? Is the plan sponsor writing a check to the record keeper? Is the money being paid out of revenue sharing? Are the participants paying for it out of their accounts? Understanding where that money is coming from is almost as important as understanding what the fee actually is. So looking at the annual administration fees is incredibly important. And then also, for the folks that are on the call here, I know most of us are advisors here. We want to look at the advisory fees as well, and understand what we're charging on an annual basis to a plan, and is that appropriate? Because the last thing we want to see is another advisor coming in and undercutting us at a lower fee. So a couple different things to keep in mind outside of what we just talked about, right? Not only that annual record keeping or TPA number, but the complexity of a plan, how many vendors you're working with, even something as simple as education days. Is the record keeper going on site every quarter or every year and doing participant education? Does this plan have certain service requirements that might affect the plan pricing? These things are incredibly important to understand underneath those bottom line numbers that we just talked about. And then a couple other things too, in terms of the plan and the provider capabilities, is specifically around matching the provider to the plan and the plan to the provider. So if you have a small plan, maybe one of the bigger record keepers isn't the best fit. Maybe a more tech-based firm might be more appropriate because the pricing might be more competitive and they'll still satisfy all of the service requirements. What kind of investment needs does your plan have? Technology, again, comes up again and again, but what do the participants need to be able to do on the website or the participant mobile app? All of these different things should be documented, especially when you're going through some sort of formal type RFP exercise. So with that all being said, right, we're thinking about, when we should benchmark, how we should, or what we should be benchmarking, record keeping, investment and advisory fees, TPA fees as well. Then it becomes where the rubber hits the road, right? And how we can actually benchmark these. So I want to highlight a couple of resources that we have in-house here at RPAG that can help you accomplish everything that we've talked about so far. So for those of you who have been RPAG users for an extended period of time, you're probably familiar with our provider analysis report. That would be RPAG's most robust and customizable live bid RFP report. Now, the provider analysis would be the report that you're going to want to use every 3 to 5 years to get a formal quote from different record keepers. The provider analysis will let you go into great detail on, what kind of investment lineup you'd like them to quote using. Lets you structure the fees a certain way, lets you get into detail on things like managed accounts and compliance related fees. It really allows you to provide and document all of the detail that's necessary, either in a, kind of a benchmarking scenario every 3 to 5 years, or if you are seriously consider moving a plan from record keeper A to B, C, D, or E. That allows you to make an informed decision and also document all of the important data that we've talked about so far, so that your plan sponsor can make an informed decision along with you. And then a few years ago, we introduced our PlanFees Prism and Prism 365 benchmarking tools. Now, these are more of your, what we'll say, annual benchmarking resources. So the PlanFees Prism report, and we'll touch on this a little bit more momentarily, is your annual fee checkup. This is a report where, with just a couple data points, you can compare a plan to plans of a similar size, typically hundreds, if not thousands of plans of a similar size, and get an idea of where the record keeping, TPA, investment and advisory fees stand. The way I describe that PlanFees Prism report most commonly to advisors is that Prism report on an annual basis can answer for a plan sponsor. Okay, I'm a $5 million retirement plan that pays 80 basis points to my record keeper. Is that expensive? Is that normal? Is that cheap? Same thing with advisory, investment, and TPA fees as well. So that Prism report very much helps contextualize the fee information that plan sponsors have. And all of the information that you need can be taken right off of 408(b)(2) fee disclosure. And then in companionship with that Prism report, we created what we call the Prism 365 report. Now, the Prism 365 report zeroes in on advisor fees and services. So, as we all know, speaking of being undercut by an advisor with a lower fee, there's always going to be the threat of if you charge 25 basis points on a plan, an advisor might come in and charge 15 basis points, and your client might be swayed to take the 10 basis point savings there. Uh, as all of us know, you get what you pay for. And so, what that plan sponsor might not be understanding in that decision where they're looking at purely fee data on the advisor side is what services they're giving up in that situation. So the Prism 365 actually leverages RPAG's database of advisor service models as well and takes a look at what the normal service model per plan size looks like. For instance, how often should you be meeting to evaluate the investment lineup with a $3 million plan as opposed to a $30 million plan? Or how many education days should you be providing to a plan? Things like that, so that an advisor can really highlight through that Prism 365 report where they might be going above and beyond in terms of services so that their client can truly appreciate that and understand that if another advisor comes in and offers a lower fee, that they might be sacrificing some of those services. So we've had this fee benchmarking suite for many, many years. And then last year, we unveiled the latest and greatest in terms of our fee benchmarking suite, and that is RFP Express. And RFP Express is basically a marriage between the ease of use with the PlanFees Prism reports and the robust and customization of the provider analysis report. So if we have time at the end, I'd love to show a kind of a live example of that report. But the RFP Express proposal system allows you to get real proposals from record keepers in the industry in a matter of seconds. Typically, with a robust RFP process, it can take weeks, if not months, to do. That RFP Express report will save you days and days of time and allow you to get real accurate pricing information with just a couple clicks. So again, not to go into too much detail here on these different reports, but again, the provider analysis is our most robust report. It has over 500 data points. You can include any provider that you'd like to. You can send it to your favorite wholesaler to have them respond to the request. And the idea here is that the providers handle most of the heavy lifting. I can't tell you how many times I talk to advisors who tell me that their RFP process is calling their wholesaling partners at record keepers, having those wholesalers email them a PDF proposal, and then it's up to the advisor to cobble those different proposals together in some sort of apples to apples format. With the RPAG provider analysis, our technology handles all of that for you. Again, that can be customized to include as much or as little information as you'd like. And then our Prism and Prism 365 reports are, again, much more annual fee benchmarking exercises. Just a note here, too, is that what I've seen most commonly is that advisors are benchmarking their fees closer to that 3 to 5 year timeline as opposed to annually, especially when you're just looking at the advisor services as well. And then the RFP Express system is, again, kind of a fusion of the two reports that we just talked about. It's a few dozen data points that hit on the annual plan pricing from record keepers. It can be a 5 minute to 2 day turnaround. It can be very, very helpful with quoting out small plans or even startups, or convincing a current client to maybe look into a PEP, MEP type of solution as well. Um, so those are all reports that advisors have at your fingertips here. But what I wanted to talk a little bit more about was the a case study. So I do this every year to kind of sharpen my own pencil in terms of using our resources. And so every year I use our 5,500 search partners at Larkspur to find a plan online, look at the fee data, and then utilize the RPAG benchmarking tools to then take a look at where there might be weak areas in terms of that plan. Now, actually, this year I worked directly with an advisor who came to me and said, "Hey, I've got this plan sponsor that I saw on the 5,500 website. I'd like to see if we can win the business here." And I was more than happy to help them. So this particular case study that we're looking at here is going to be a $7 million plan with 150 participants. Obviously, I'm rounding numbers a little bit here to keep to keep people anonymous. And the company that we were looking at is a marketing firm. So sophisticated participants, people that understand financial industries, but also might need a little push in terms of the retirement plan business. So the first thing that we did with this advisor is we went on to the online 5,500 search database. In this case, we used Larkspur, and we actually found kind of an outdated 5,500. It was a one from this actually isn't the actual 5,500 here. I found a form 5,500 from a couple years ago that gave us some basic information. But one of the neat things about the particular 5,500 search engine we were using is that it comes with plan contact information. So this advisor actually reached out to the plan sponsor, the key decision maker at that plan sponsor, and said, "Hey, I'm an advisor in your area. I was taking a look at your plan. I saw that your fees are a little bit higher than typically is normal for a plan of your size, and some other kind of red flags. I'd love to have a quick conversation with you about this particular plan." The plan sponsor actually did respond to the advisor and said, "Hey, actually, that's funny you bring that up. We were kind of looking at our 401k plan and haven't been able to get in touch with our current advisor. What information do you need from us?" And all the advisor asked for was the 408(b)(2) fee disclosure, even told the plan sponsor where they could find that on the record keeper website. The advisor was able to procure that fee disclosure. And the first thing that we did was we took that fee disclosure, the information that was on that 408(b)(2), and ran it through the PlanFees Prism benchmarking tool. So the Prism benchmarking tool, like I mentioned earlier, the idea here is that you're comparing plans to plans of similar sizes. So again, as a reminder, we're looking at a $7 million plan here. So through the 408(b)(2) that we got from the plan sponsor, we saw that the record keeping fee was 61 basis points, the investments were 20, and the current advisory fee was 30 basis points, totaling up at 111 basis points. You can see there at the bottom. Now, if you were only to look at the total plan cost there, you would think that this plan is actually doing pretty well in terms of the benchmark that we're looking at. You can see the PlanFees Prism, the way it breaks out the data here is we're looking at a low, average, and high. Now, our database is a little bit more complex than this, but for simplicity's sake, what I'll say is that the low, average, and high kind of average out to the 25th, 50th, and 75th percentile of our database. So you can see 111 basis points is actually under the average, is under the 50th percentile here. So plan sponsor might go, "Okay, we're fine. We're in a good spot here." But when you break out and isolate these different fee components, what you actually see is that what's bringing that cost down is the fact that there's only 20 basis points in investment expenses. And shocker, it was because the investment lineup was stocked with index funds. Um, and the record keeping fee was actually closer to the 75th percentile. And so what this advisor told the plan sponsor was, hey, let me go get some quotes for you from different record keepers. We can use the same investment lineup that you're currently using, keep that investment lineup at 20 basis points, but take that record keeping fee down a little bit for you. So the plan sponsor said, sure, have at it. So with authorization from the plan sponsor, the advisor took the next step and utilized the RPAG provider analysis here to take a look at different quotes from record keepers that the advisor has worked with. So you can see here on the far left, we have the current plan pricing that we saw on that previous page. And then the advisor just went out to three different record keepers that he's used to working with. And once those record keepers submitted their proposals, we saw that the record keeping fees were drastically different than what the plan was currently paying. You could see anywhere from 40 to all the way as low as 25 basis points for record keeping fees. Now, granted, you can see the 25 basis point record keeping fee was assuming the use of a TPA as well. So this report allowed the advisor to have that conversation on the difference between a bundled and unbundled plan and talk about some of those solutions. But what the advisor was very easily able to illustrate is looking at the total plan cost here. You can see that 111 basis points could come down at least 15, 16 basis points right off the bat. Resulting in plan savings of $10,000 plus for the plan. Where this advisor really won over this plan sponsor was when they isolated the record keeping cost and explained to the plan sponsor on how the record keeping cost at 61 basis points could be lowered to right around $20,000 to $25,000 in basis points. In record keeping costs. This is where the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. And again, the advisor didn't have to create this Excel. What you're looking at right now is a real report run through RPAG where the provider clicked on the record keepers that they wanted to include in their analysis. The record keepers received the request and then uploaded their proposals directly into RPAG. And the advisor reviewed the proposals, clicked a button, and generated the report that we've been looking at here. So the idea here is that the advisor could, without doing too much here, lower the record keeping costs. Now, what some of you might be thinking here, especially those of us who have gone through the process of moving a plan to a different record keeper, is I don't know if I want to go through all that. I don't know if my plan sponsor wants to go through all of that. One of the most powerful ways I've seen this report utilized is if you see this competitive average column here, the competitive average is really just the average of the different quotes that you've received through this process. So what I've seen different advisors do is go back to a record keeper and say, hey, you're currently charging this plan 61 basis points, and we went out to some of your biggest competitors, and the average was, closer to 43 basis points. We'd like you to, give you the opportunity to lower your record keeping cost a little bit. And what that shows the provider is basically, hey, if we don't lower our record keeping costs, then we might lose this plan. And so it's a great way to make sure that the record keepers are keeping their pencil sharp, and also a very tangible way for you all as advisors to demonstrate your value to plan sponsors. So this is the most common way I've seen advisors utilize the PlanFees Prism report and the provider analysis. The last piece I want to talk about here is kind of the tried and true method of doing a investment mapping here, which we're all familiar with. This is where things like RPAG's investments reporting can come into play, where through that provider analysis report or even in a standalone report, you can put together a comparison of a current fund lineup and some proposed fund changes to show a plan sponsor that you not only can put them in better performing funds, but also take their costs down. This example on the screen here, if you look towards the bottom of the left side there under incumbent, you can see that there's a small cap value fund that's scoring a 5 out of 10. This advisor showed that they can swap out that small cap value fund for a different fund, and still the overall expenses for the lineup will decrease as well. So again, everything that we do here at RPAG is trying to give you tangible evidence on your value as an advisor, but also making it easy for plan sponsors to understand what exactly you're doing for them and where exactly their retirement plan fees are going. Since we have a couple minutes here, I do want to quickly demonstrate the one report that we didn't get to talk about in that process, and that's RFP Express. While I'm pulling this up here, I see there's a couple questions in the chat that I'd actually like to um, uh, to actually discuss here. So the first question is, what's the time frame to submit the request to RPAG before an advisor knows updated pricing? So I believe that's referring to the provider analysis there. Typically, record keepers actually respond within about 3 to 5 business days of updating the for updating plan information, whether that's getting the current information from a record keeper or receiving that from receiving a proposal from providers as well. Typically about 3 to 5 business days. The variable there lies within how much information you're asking of the record keepers. So, are you asking for a full fund mapping? Are you asking for, them to answer a bunch of custom questions? Those are the kinds of things that affect that timeline. So what I tell most advisors from that provider analysis standpoint, from start to finish, you're looking at 2 to 3 to, even sometimes 4 weeks to do that from start to finish. Someone else also asked, what report does the cost analysis / mapping come in, or is that a standalone report? Great question. So that actually is the report that we're looking at right now, the total cost analysis. So the answer is actually all of the above. So the total cost analysis can be run as a standalone report if you'd like. That is available. The total cost analysis, if you want to run that as a standalone report, you can actually, on the RPAG reporting page, that same button that you click to run a scorecard in that report section where you've got the investment reporting, the fee benchmarking, plan design, et cetera. If you click on scorecard, it'll pull up a little pop-up menu and it'll say view and it defaults to scorecard. If you actually open up that view, you can change it to total cost analysis. So that's if you want to show an overall look at the current investments and their expenses. And then if you want to do more of a mapping exercise, you can have the total cost analysis run through the fund mapping section of RPAG that's in the main menu. You can have it included in the provider analysis, which we've mentioned. You can also include it in the fiduciary investment review as well if you want to show the total cost analysis of some of the fund considerations you're making. So all of that are available here. That is all where you can access the cost analysis there. Switching over to RFP Express here. I want to bring this up. Now with RFP Express, the input for this is very, very simple. All you really need to do is input the total asset value for a plan, the total number of participants, who the current provider is, the current cash flow for the plan, and then the current fees here. So I'm just going to put in some dummy numbers here for time's sake. I'm going to click next, and then we got to see if the plan's bundled or unbundled. Now I'm going to click next here. It's going to ask us how likely the plan is going to move, and if we want to build in advisor compensation into our quote. If we say yes there, we can specify what we'd like to include there. Then I'm going to click next one more time here. And what you can see is that what RFP Express just did was it matched the plan parameters I put on that screen to the pricing structures that different record keepers have provided us through RFP Express here. So we have tons of providers available through RFP Express. You can see these instant quotes are real pricing quotes from these record keepers. So Alaris, American Funds, Census, Empower, Fidelity, Hancock, One America, Transamerica, T. Rowe Price. I could go on and on. I have a comprehensive list of these providers that are available. If you'd like me to pass that along to you as follow up, just reach out to me directly. Again, all my information will be on the screen at the end here. So these instant quotes are based off of a preset investment lineup. So if you don't really care what the allocation is for a plan, these instant quotes are available for you. And then let's say you want to utilize a open architecture pricing structure. If I come all the way down to the custom quote options here, I can actually request, let's say if I want to get an open architecture quote from Empower, I can click on request quote and then click on open architecture under investment lineup option. And this will send a request to Empower to provide me an open architecture pricing quote for this particular plan. And typically, this providers respond through RFP Express in about 1 to 2 business days, as opposed to what I said earlier with the provider analysis, where you're looking at closer to 3 to 5 business days. I want to say thank you very much for your time today. I know we went through a lot in terms of fee benchmarking, but if there's any questions about fee benchmarking or anything else that you can do in RPAG, please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. I'd be more than happy to assist you and talk through any of the solutions that we have to offer. So thanks again, and have a great rest of your day. Have a good one, folks.